you set up your butter, a couple of things that you're going to want to cheat and do, because you cannot make butter in a 10-minute session. So you're going to have to do a little prep work before. One of the first things you'll need to know is that you will have cream. I would pour a small amount in your pitcher here, and then keep your cream in a cooler with ice bags. There's a crate in the back utility room so you can cover it up, and then you refill it as you need it. In the bottom of this, in order to keep this cream cool, I usually put ice and water both in there. And if it's a really hot day, I will put salt in it just like you would an ice cream maker. The towel is to help keep all the condensation in the outside bowl that you have it in. Otherwise, your table will slowly start to sweat throughout the day.
So there's 2 bowls in
So yes, there's 2 bowls, towel. And another thing I like to do, but I don't mention it, they just get to see it, is that I cover my cream in my open containers with a cloth, because that's how we would have handled flies and bugs and other things. So for your first group, I usually also have ice and ice water in here. I will have already started shaking 3 or 4 of your jars, and how many I shake depends on how big each group is. So I start them shaking immediately. All right. So the first thing that you will do, start shaking that. You start shaking this one. I'll talk about this one. I'll hand it to another person. Now it's hard to hear with all the shaking.
Yeah, we'll
so
just pretend.
Yeah.
Y'all can pretend to shake. Now, when you're going to do this, you are going to want to put a marble inside each of the glass containers. Now, ladies and gentlemen, they're glass. They will break. If you hit the table, if you hit your neighbor's head, if you hit the chairs, they will break. Yes, they've broken before. Yes, one of them will break today. If it breaks, no big deal. We'll handle it. If your kid breaks their glass, I usually have a bowl right here and say drop the whole mess right here. You should have a little bit of water in a wash pan over here so they can wash their hands off, and then you go on, okay? So marble, I suggest you get blue marbles, because if you get clear marbles for any of your demonstrations, it's hard to find them when you have a big bowl of butter. It's much easier to find a blue or red marble. Same kind of things you get at the dollar store. Now, what this marble does is it pretends to be this part of your butter churn, okay? Now, there's lots of different kinds of butter churns, and they all have what's called a dasher or something that does that. This is just a little tiny one. My big one in the corner has one. There's a whole room in there with a whole bunch of different butter stuff. They all have some kind of dasher. What happens is when you agitate the butter, the fat that is in the cream conglomerates together, congeals, and makes butter. Now, you probably haven't learned this in science yet, but fat likes to be with fat, water likes to be with water, and by shaking it up like that, we finally get the fat to form into butter, and we will end up left over with buttermilk. Now, you want only a little bit of cream in your jar. You want a lot of air. Now, doesn't matter how much this particular hand moves, only how much this hand moves. So even though I do this hand stays still, okay? Now, if you will look at your jars, you can see we've got 3 different things here. You might want to come closer, because if you look in these jars, this one is going to have whipped cream. Okay. Now you can kind of see that this looks like whipped cream, because you can still see cream throughout the entire jar. I would then probably leave this one here for the next group, because your first group is going to start the butter for the next group.
Okay.
This one, you can kind of tell is sort of separating, and it is more like a cottage cheese type thing. And so I usually pass these around, let them see, and I usually keep hold of them, but then we decide. Now, when you've actually made butter, your glass will be clear, and you will actually see physically some butter and some buttermilk. Now, depending on how hot it is, will depend on how easy this is. I usually pour my buttermilk off into a pitcher, which I'm not going to do today because I don't want to have to wash it. But I pour the buttermilk out. These little plates work great for butter, because what you want to do is you want to fish out the marble, put this in here. The next time you use the same jar, because there's already some fat congealed on there, it will make butter a little bit faster, okay? You can do what's called working the butter, and because I've just got a little bit of butter here, I can use a fork. If I had a lot of butter, like if I was using a big churn, I might use a butter paddle, and it's got grooves in here that act just like the fork does. I pass that around, let them mess with that feel of it as I continue doing this. Now, one of the things you'll notice is, and I talk about how if you leave milk out on the counter and then you go to school. When you come home that night, it has gone bad. That's exactly what makes butter go bad, is if you do not get all the milk out of it, the milk actually goes rancid, not the butter. So if I wanted to sell this butter, I might go even further and I would pour water onto this and actually wash it, because again, fat stays with fat, water stays with water. So as I do this, I can wash out even more of that milk so this butter will last longer and longer and longer. And this is one of the ways, other than cheese, that you could help preserve from your dairy cows. Okay, so at this point we can eat it, or if we wanted to keep it, we could put it in a butter mold. Now you see these all over the place. Grandmas have them, antique stores have them, you see them on the TV. And coincidentally, most of them are about the same size, which is very similar to the size of butter you buy at Walmart. Okay? Now, let's say you have the best butter in the world and you want to take it to the farmer's market. Different cows have different kinds of cream and give different qualities of butter. Okay, so it's just like dogs. Chihuahuas are great for sitting in your lap. Great Danes are great for looking big on your front porch and scaring people off. Cows are the same way. Some herds of cows are great for living in deserts. They're accustomed to not having a lot of water, eating a lot of scrub brushes. Other cows are used to giving other kinds of things, so they may be better at giving large, fat cream that gives you a lot of good quality butter. So if you've got a good cow that gives the best butter in the entire county, when you go to the farmer's market, you want the kids, the parents, everybody to know that they're getting your butter. Okay, this is just like at the grocery store where you look at it and you know what's in the cereal box because you know what the cereal box looks like. So a lot of these butter molds are actually hand carved. A lot of them have the same kind of stuff on them. I mean, this one's got some kind of little flower thing, and even if somebody else carved another little flower thing and they were sitting next to each other, you have seen these people your whole life at the farmer's market. So it's just like looking at the box and you know what's in Cheerios and you know what's in Honey Nut Cheerios. They're both yellow, they both have a bee, but you're smart enough, you can figure it out. So if you've got amazing butter, then that's how you do that. So what we're gonna do—
branding, early forms of branding.
Right.
Now, you guys, if you look at a box of butter, what you get, it usually says salted, okay? If you go to a restaurant, you ask for butter, they're gonna give you salted. Probably the only time you're intentionally getting unsalted is if you're cooking with it and you want a different amount of salt, or if you're trying to get salt out of your diet. So the butter we taste today is usually salted with just a little bit of salt. It does not take much at all. All you do is add a little bit, rub it in there, and then we can all sample it. Now, I will start handing out little pieces of bread. If you eat your bread, you are not getting more bread, okay? You will not have your teacher finish handing this bread out for you. Now, you're going to need to hold your bread out so I can put some butter on it. Now, guys, this little silly knife that's in the back of your silverware drawer, it doesn't cut, it doesn't ice a cake, it doesn't do anything. It is actually a butter knife. Hold it firmly, or when I bring around the butter, you will drop your bread in the floor.
Thank you.
Off we go. Now, are there any other questions? If we have adults, you are absolutely welcome to try the bread yourself.
Good. Awesome.
There you go.
Thank you. The end.
That's my skill.